and he asked me if I would like to ride along with him.
Is your
Well,
grandfather William Franklin?
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't even know my grandfather because I wanted to know him. And, what was I, 12 years old, 11 or 12 years old? So I said, sure, Randy, I'd love to ride with you. So I got in the car and I rode with him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know all of the story behind it, but from what we talked about and what I asked him, I remember that clearly. I was told, number one, that he worked with the concrete as an advisor, the concrete for what was happening with Oppenheimer when they were trying to deal with the concrete containers and the nature of the containers for the testing of the atomic weapon.
I didn't know that.
Well, I was told that.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember all the relatives that told me. He didn't tell me that. I was told by somebody else that he worked on that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a supervisor in helping them construct the containment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also told when I asked about that to someone else that he got involved in it because in his business he formed his business, which went bankrupt. But
this during the Depression.
Yeah.
They went bankrupt. Okay.
But that's another story.
Right.
But so anyway, what happened? Then I lost my train of thought when you asked me that question.
That his company, he had done the work with his company.
All right, no,
I'm sorry.
He
got into
right,
this because
he
his
had built
company.
his company from the fact that he was in demand because he was a dynamite expert, meaning that if they're building a road down around the south through the mountains and they want to cut through the mountain, if they can find a dynamite expert who can explode part of the thing away cleanly and they know what they're doing, that makes him very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he started his trucking and construction company.
Mm-hmm.
And he built a lot of roads.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so when I was riding in the car with my grandfather some years later, I was chatting with some of these things that I was told.
Mm-hmm.
There was an elderly African American or black man that I spoke to before I was riding with my grandfather, which gave me part of the story because he claimed he worked for my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought the world of William Franklin. Mm-hmm. And it was there that I got the story that our grandfather kept his company going and maintained his employees from 1929 to 1939. That means he did not, during the Big Depression, he didn't lay anybody off. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now the amount of work that he was getting was muchly curtailed. Now, strangely as it may seem, he was working against something called the WPA, and the government was hiring people to do road work, construction work, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, he was competing with his company. He was competing with them. He obviously couldn't compete with them. He ultimately went out of business.
Uh-huh.
So that is an argument that is consistent with what the Republicans have been saying for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I could vote for a Republican if I could find one.
Yeah.
Problem is I can't find one. The old-time Republicans I could certainly vote for.
Right. Okay.
Anyway,
mm-hmm.
that's the basic story. Now I'm back in the car, and what I said to him really hit me. He's a young 11, 12-year-old that really hit me hard. Because
mm-hmm.
I said, Randa, why didn't? Because he was poor.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you? This was like 1946, 47.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, Randa, why didn't you go? Isn't there something called bankruptcy? Couldn't you? You were the owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, he says, young man, you don't understand. He said, those people built my company. Yes, it was in my name, but it was their company. They are the people who built that company, not I.
Mm. Wow.
And I look at that. This man gave everything he had uh, for what he felt was the right way to deal with people.
Hmm.
And I look at today, and I say, how many corporations, equity,
Yeah, yeah,
how many of those guys would stop and say, "Oh, yeah, well,
yeah,
you guys, you built this, you did this,"
yeah.
you know?
They'd be looking at, but with profit they could take out of it and shareholder, if they had shareholders, if it
Yep.
was a public company, shareholder return and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Yep.
it's like employees are just considered to be just kind of trashed to move out, get rid of them, you know? I don't know. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Well,
Well,
that's an
anyway,
interesting,
I am.
that's more background on that story than I ever remember
Oh, well,
anybody
I don't know
telling me, Ellen.
how much. I don't know how much of that is true.
Some of it
Remember,
at least could
you're
be
talking to
verified.
a 79-year-old guy who's talking about something that he was proud of his grandfather when he was 10 or 11 years old. In terms of what I could piece together,
Uh-huh.
I thought, whatever, even if half of what I was told was true, uh, that means to me that he was one hell of a man
Yes, he was.
by my values and
Yeah.
standards.
Right,
And
right.
I'm sure his attitudes have a bearing on how I thought. And much of the stories that I just occurred to me, came from Uncle Bill.
Uncle Bill told
Bill
you some of
Taylor.
that about the background part
Was
about the WPA.
William Frank, my grandfather's son,
Leonard William Taylor. Just so you knew William Franklin. I'm thinking that your father, Clarence, tended to look more like his mother's side of the family,
I wouldn't know.
the McDaniels, like Josie, your
My
grandmother.
all I know is about Mamaw is that not that there's anything wrong with it, but she looked more Indian to me
Hmm.
than yeah. I guess Dad had high cheekbones too.
Hmm. And well,
No, I don't know. He looked like both of them.
okay, what about like ears, nose, height?
Oh,
What about
interesting.
William
Interesting
Franklin?
you should
How
say
did
that.
William Franklin look like Clarence?
Clarence absolutely had tie. Clarence had his ears were identical to his father's,
Uh-huh.
and his nose was clearly identical to his father's.
Hmm.
The high cheekbones and the rest of the face resembled his mother.
Okay. Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
In case I happen to come across any pictures that might be William Franklin, it would help me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you for that story, Alan. Okay. It's on my phone. I don't know how to turn it off though. I hope it took.
Well, you often
I
wonder.
hope it recorded. Now I don't know what's going on. Oh, Alan. I hope I didn't miss it.